So, what's the difference between a dual sport and an ADV bike? Well, I just happen to have both here, so why don't we take a look and explore the differences. Let's go for a ride, check them out, and see what you think. I'm going to break into this video real quick. Have a little message for you, so if you wouldn't mind subscribing to this channel. Really want to try to get monetized. That'd definitely help me out, and I'm going to go up this hill. Alright guys, thanks. Alright, we're out here on the Honda Transalp, our ADV entry into this discussion. So, little specs on it. 750cc parallel twin, 458 pounds, I think, if I recall. Well, that was before the crash cage and crash bars. 33.8 seat height, so it's not necessarily tiny. So ADV bikes in general are usually quite a bit larger engine, more powerful, more electronics. Because I'd say they're more for street with some dirt. You know, they'll give you street capability with some dirt capability. So like right now, you know, if I was on my MT-07, this wouldn't be a whole lot of fun riding through all this. But being that it's an ADV bike, I can just trundle along just fine. That being said too, it does have quite a bit more power than a lot of the dual sports. Like I said 750 cc's, I would say 80 something horse on this in the US market, almost 90 in the European market, because we get a little stifled by sound emissions, right? But she's heavy. She'll go off-road. This one's full 21 inch tire, 21 inch front tire, 18 rear. But she's also will spin the tire very, very easily. But you don't get to coax this thing around like a dirt bike. It's heavy. It doesn't change direction super fast. Oh, someone buried up that cattle guard, it looks like. Oh, they put a big one. Oh, so I haven't been out here in just a little bit, so changed it up a bit. Okay, they redid this section. So this is going to do great. Like, I use this bike as a commuter, and it is amazing, right? Big wind protection, got all kinds of modes on it, traction control, ABS, all the goodies, right? It's made to be able to crush big miles with off-road capability. And I know there's varied models of these, right? There's some very aggressive ones. There's some that are a little more tame, everything in between. Some that are very light on the dirt capability, and some that are really aggressive. You know, it's everything in between. Suspension is going to be limited. And when your traction control's off, you've got to be very careful on your throttle, because she will get away from you. But she'll do fine. She does all kinds of light off-roading, or, you know, if you're really skilled, I'm sure you can do some aggressive off-roading. I, on the other hand, am not the most skilled rider. But let's have a little fun. Let's play around a little and see. So the biggest thing on this bike is she doesn't change direction super fast, and she's not the craziest amount of suspension like a motocross bike or a dirt bike, so you can feel it start to squish, but this kind of stuff, no problem, right? But she's got a good amount of torque, so you roll on at all and she starts spinning. Ooh, that was the bottom out though, so she's definitely going to be somewhat limited on your jumping, especially stock suspension and all that. But that's, you know, comes with the territory. Like I said, she's big, she's heavy. I'm glad I put that skid plate on. As you can hear, rocks bouncing off it because it does not have one from factory on this bike. T-Rex Racing seems really nice so far. I'm telling you right now, I would have been cringing pretty hard if that was the bottom of the oil sump. Hearing rocks do that. But like I said, she definitely does not turn like a dual sport dirt bike, anything like that. So this is going to be usually a lot of times these adventure bikes will share an engine with some sort of a street platform. Like in this case, the Hornet 750 has the same motor that this does, or KTMs a lot of times will cross over with their Duke lines and their ADV lines or similar. And I believe they also do the same thing with the V-Stroms, with their Gixxis and GSXR, the new street style Gixxers, not the old aggressive ones. But she's a big old heavy bike and she gets rolling. She will move out when you ask her to. But she will fool you with the wind protection and going a lot faster than you're expecting, and with the weight and the less suspension travel, she can get you into some trouble. So just be aware of that. Why don't we hop on over to the KLX and test out what we think of the Dual Sport. Alright, now we're out here on the KLX 300 Dual Sport. This is our Dual Sport entry. Now Dual Sports will share common architecture and parts with dirt bikes, whereas the other ones, street bikes, like this is the almost identical motor that goes in the KLX 300 R, which is their dirt only, not street legal variant. And then similar, I'm assuming, frames and everything. So this is a taller seat height since it's based on a dirt bike. I'm going to say stock it was 35.5. Now this is my wife's bike, so it does have a lowering link on it, but even at that, it's still about an inch taller than the adventure bike, but it feels about the same, because one thing this thing is narrow. It is extremely narrow, and it only comes in at 300 pounds, so almost 160 pound weight savings. So that's quite a bit more nimble, more flickable. That comes with some problems and some benefits, right? One, the engine's 300 cc single. It is 25 horsepower, I think, which is quite a bit different than the 80 to 90 on the Transalp. So quite a bit different engine power. Okay, quite a bit difference in engine power. I gotta be careful, there's quite a bit of children riding out here, so I'll cut all them out. I don't be posting people's children's on videos, that would be wrong. But, like I said, huge difference. Brakes, I think they're more touchy, but that's also because you're stopping quite a bit less weight. Suspension has way more travel. Like I said, it's based on a dirt bike. So, let's see. I'll go first gear. We'll do a little acceleration. As you can tell, massively decreased power, but also massively decreased weight. Similar to that, suspension is going to be probably quite a bit better. And then when you need to come into a turn, you can just kind of get aggressive with it a little bit. Bear with me a little, my ankle is killing me and I try to figure out what I did, and I think it's called becoming 44 years old and doing construction for 25 years. So little baby jump, but she is so much more nimble. Like, you could flick this. Off-road capabilities, this Dual Sport, in my opinion, is massively superior. Didn't even bottom out right there, all the way. So whereas a ADV bike is a probably street touring oriented bike that can hit some dirt, this is a bike 80% of the time should be on the dirt. They can hit some street legally, you know, safely, has all the parts you need, but it's not going to be great at it. Like, this one's only, I think 68 miles an hour as fast as I've had it. Full disclosure, it's not fully broke in, so that's why I can't be binging off the rev limiter. But even then, it is very low on the power, which is to be expected for the weight, but not low on the fun. And, you know, no ride modes to speak of. I don't believe this has ABS on this model or anything, so, you know, rider beware when you're on pavement. Let's see, can we get a little wheelie out of it? No. Barely. I'm not great at wheelies. Now, this bike is just, it's a lot of fun, though. It's just a whole lot of fun. So it just depends what you need, right? What do you need? Do you need more highway capability and be able to turn on some dirt when you need? Or do you need more dirt, but you want to, you know, not necessarily load it up in the back of your truck and take it between trails? And I'm still new to the ADV game, so I'm sure I'll get better. As I get better, I'll be slightly more aggressive. But I only made my first payment on that bike today, so let's take it easy, get the bike worn in a little, get me a little more experienced on it. But I don't know, it's 50-50, right? If you can have one bike and majority of your riding is going to be dirt, but you just want to connect trails, a dual sport is going to be hard to beat because you're going to be so much more capable just because of the weight. But if you are commuting to work like I am a lot of times, but you still want to be able to hit on some dirt here and there, that ADV bike, I think, is going to be pretty much your best ticket in that. Just know what you're getting, know the limitations of both bikes. Now, and like I said, they do have wide varieties of each, from aggressive to mild, and that's true on dual sports and ADVs. But they're all a different tool for a different job, right? So certain tools are better at certain jobs. You know, use a butter knife to turn some flathead screws, sure. But a screwdriver's better, but you're also not spreading butter with a screwdriver, right? That's going to be kind of silly. So you choose. What do you think? Why don't you let me know? Why don't you let me know what you think is your preference, or what you think is a better bike? And let me know what you think. So, if you wouldn't mind, I'm trying to grow this channel, so if you could like, comment, share the video, you know, ask any questions you want. I'll try to get back to you on anything, and, you know, maybe possibly make a video on the question if I can. And subscribe, that helps me. I'm well into watch hours for my monetization. I'm way beyond that, but I am not as close on subscribers. I think I'm at 350 and I need 1,000 to get monetized. And then that takes the clock away, the time clock away from me on my getting monetized. So that would really appreciate if you'd do that for me. So anyways, until then, want y'all ride safe.